Hello, I'm Ana Efrim. I'm a senior editor at The Papers. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Tomasz Spruszka, consulting manager at Comar. We're going to talk about the global invoicing landscape and how artificial intelligence can improve e-invoicing. Hello, Thomas, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Anna. Hello, everyone.
As I mentioned today, we are going to talk about invoicing. Thomas, we were speaking earlier and you wanted to get in this idea about the definition and what electronic invoicing is, what are its benefits, and what are the invoicing models around the world. So if you could please start off on that, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Anna. So, as we discussed in the past, let's start maybe with some basic information about what's e-invoicing. So, in general, e-invoicing is with us for more or less 20 years. The idea is that we will replace paper documents and we can exchange electronic invoices. So that's the general approach and idea behind electronic invoices. Of course, it's about reducing the costs, being more eco-friendly so that we can exchange the data automatically without the paper documents and so on. But of course, from the perspective of the global landscape, it's quite complex because we have different regulations across the globe, different models, how you have to exchange invoices. So to give you an example, we can divide, let's say, globe into three models. The first one is post-audit model, where we can exchange invoices between the business partners directly. There is no tax authority in the middle. That's the most, let's say, important aspect of this model. Another model that we have, clearance approach. It's very popular in Latin America. It's getting popular in Europe, also Asia, is that tax authority is kind of a middleman. So we have to submit invoices to tax authority. Either tax authority is checking the content and then you can send an invoice to your recipient. Or in fact, tax authority in some cases is acting as a central hub. So that's the second model. And also in some countries, what we can see is also continuous transaction controls or real-time transaction controls. So the situation where you can send e-invoice, you can send paper documents, but anyhow, you have to report the invoice data to the tax authority. So that's the three main models. So I will sum up in the way that landscape across the globe is complex. So it's very difficult for the companies to navigate in this complex landscape to understand the requirements, how to send invoice, how to receive invoice, what is the authenticity, integrity, and so on. Also, what is getting more and more popular in Europe is that countries are implementing EU directive for B2G, for the public procurement. And in many countries right now, you have to send also electronic invoice to the public authorities. So what we can say from the e-invoicing service provider perspective is that clearance model is getting more popular, let's say. So more and more countries are introducing the model where the tax authority is driving the change. And also mandates, so that in the country, e-invoicing is becoming mandatory. So that's general, let's say, approach behind the e-invoicing and the landscape that we have across the globe.
All right, thank you so much. Could you also please explain how does an invoicing system actually works?
Yeah, sure. So let's start maybe with the basic approach of the e-invoicing system. So what is the, let's say, starting point? So the starting point is usually e-invoicing systems. They have to receive invoices in some format, like structured format, that is produced by the ERP system or accounting system. Then the invoices are validated by the e-invoicing solution or e-invoicing service provider. Once the data is validated, what does it mean validated? We are checking if all mandatory elements are filled in, if the values that are in the invoice are correct. But we are usually, let's say, not checking the business content. It's more like a technical verification. Then when everything is okay, we are doing the mapping process and we can distribute invoices to recipients with the use of different channels. So that's the standard, let's say, approach. Take the data, convert to the format that is required in the country and distribute to the recipients. And of course, what is the future is AI, but I think this is what we will discuss shortly. Yeah?
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, and speaking of AI and new technologies and your approach towards innovation, how can artificial intelligence improve invoicing?
In general, let's say artificial intelligence is like something very hot nowadays in IT solutions. So more and more, let's say, companies and the IT application are adopting artificial intelligence or machine learning functionalities to their systems, not only invoicing, but also in loyalty programs or banking system in order to detect, for example, frauds. Yeah, that's the most important, let's say, element of AI that we can see in the business world. When it comes to the invoicing and invoicing systems, we have several, let's say, areas where AI can help us to improve the processes. So the first one, for example, is that we can use AI to detect anomalies. By anomalies, I mean, for example, we have the pattern that usually business partner is exchanging some number of documents in a given day or month. So that's the, let's say, pattern that we know from the past. And when we have AI, this AI can detect anomalies like, for some reasons, for example, today we'll receive less number of documents. And then AI can trigger a notification. Okay, let's check. Maybe there's some problem with ERP system, accounting system, or maybe connection with the invoicing platform. That's why we didn't receive the number of documents that we were expecting. So AI is like looking in the past. So it's analyzing the data that we processed in the past, and also is comparing the current, let's say, behaviors with what we have. Another area is about fraud detection, especially on the level of accounts payable. So when we collect invoices, AI can help us to validate the invoices from the business content perspective, from the master data perspective. So for example, we can receive still PDF documents or even paper documents in order to process them in invoice management system. And then AI can validate those invoices in order to check, for example, master data, if the bank account is the one that we should have in the master data, or maybe potentially we have a fraud, that someone is sending us the invoice with the correct header, correct, let's say, lines, but the bank account is different and is expecting that someone will pay this invoice. So that's another, let's say, area where AI can help us to improve the processes. Another, let's say, area, as I mentioned before, e-invoice is getting more and more popular, but still in some countries, paper documents or PDF documents are still processed, which means that we have to adopt some tools that will extract the data from the non-structured documents. And those tools, they can also have AI or machine learning functionalities in order to increase the number of documents that is processed automatically. So usual approach or old approach is that the tools that we are using to extract the data from the invoices requires manual intervention. So our employees, like buyer employees, they have to check the invoice, the content. And in case if some values are not, let's say, recognized properly, then they have to do it manually. And AI can be used in this area because all those actions that we had in the past, they can be kept in the AI algorithms so that the next invoice that we'll process will be processed automatically. And maybe last but not least is the accounts payable area for PO and non-PO invoices. So the idea is to increase the number of documents that will be processed, let's call it in touchless way. So we can analyze the invoices, we can check the PO, good receipts in order to post invoices to the ERP accounting system automatically. So what AI is helping us is creating smart rules, how to, let's say, put the invoices to the proper, let's say, general ledger, allocate costs, not only on the line, on the invoice level, but also on the line level. So this is how AI can help us. So the overall goal behind the AI is to improve the business processes, improve accounts receivable, accounts payable, in order to reduce the work that we have, so reduce manual workloads. So that's basically the idea that we have behind the AI in the invoice management systems.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Very interesting. And going to more specifics, what is Comar's approach when it comes to the use of AI in electronic invoicing?
Okay, so in Comar, what we have like a dedicated team that is building AI engines for our products. So we have a team that has, let's say, expertise in AI, and we are using those, let's say, knowledge, tools, and applications in order to improve our application and go to the next level with, for example, e-invoice management system. So I explained before how we can use AI in those areas like fraud detection, anomaly detection, business rules, and also data capture. And those are the areas that Comar is also active in. So we are using those AI modules, functionalities in order to improve the systems that we have. So we use AI to detect anomalies. So we can inform our customers that something potentially can be wrong with their system. And we had such a cases that we inform our customers about issues on their side. We are using our AI to detect frauds, so to reduce number of fake invoices or not correct invoices. We also use AI, ML, machine learning functionality in our data extraction tools so that we can increase the number of documents that will be processed automatically. So recognition rates can be significantly increased by having OCR embedded with AI tools. And this last, let's say, point that I mentioned before is about touchless processing. So especially for non-PO invoices, what we do, we analyze the past invoices, how those invoices were processed by our customers, how they posted them for the payments, how they allocated costs and general ledgers. And the AI is creating business rules so that in case if new invoice will come to our customer, those rules will be used automatically. So the idea is, again, not to create tasks for the employees in the workflow system, rather reduce number of tasks so that the invoices are processed automatically. So those are the main areas where we, as a Comarch invoicing business unit, we are active in, where we use AI to improve our business process.
All right. Thank you very much, Tomasz, for your insights. It's been a pleasure. And thank you all for watching.